What's going on, tribe? It's your girl Massy and welcome back to my channel. So today, I wanted to address one video that has gone viral. This video over here, okay? This has gotten over 5 million views and a lot of you guys have asked me questions about this one video because in the video it looks like I am extremely mobile, which I am, but that may not be the case for each and every single one of you guys. I'm gonna take you through a follow along version of that video and then we will talk through the whys and the hows and the modifications and regressions that you have to do. You guys need to know that mobility is longevity. Flexibility is longevity. So a lot of you guys who are in this fitness journey, a lot of you guys, modern humans who are stuck in these patterns that were not meant to be for movers, and we are movers, will experience a lot of pain. Understand that muscles and tendons pull on joints. A lot of you guys have to understand that mobility and flexibility equals longevity and is anti-aging. As modern humans, we are stuck in patterns, often sitting a lot, not really taking our joints and our bodies to a full range of motion. And this is why I've been focusing a lot on mobility. This is how I train. So if you were to come into True Training or do any of my programs, you will see that in the workouts, all of that good stuff that is supposed to help you, it's embedded into the workout. So you guys are getting not only the strength component, the conditioning component, the mobility component, the flexibility component, and we are getting you out of these patterns that are constantly causing you pain and disruption. So as I take you through these 4 movements, I want you to start thinking that this cannot only be done once in a blue. I want you to get familiar with your bodies and be able to do this multiple times. And if not, create a routine where either you wake up in the morning, you do this, and or go to bed and you do this. And your mobility is going to look very different than mine. So start with what you have and just be aware that we're only going to get better. If you experience pain, especially when we're going to stretch, it means these restrictions need to be revisited for better function. Another educational point. We know that we're really good, especially if you're in America, if you're a modern human, you spend a lot of time sitting in an office doing this. We're very good at being locked into this position. I wish that I had a chair here because what ends up happening is we get locked in this position. Our hip flexors become fixated in this position. We're not even strengthening our glutes that are supposed to be really, really strong as is part of our core. Okay, so a lot of the things that I am going to teach you involve how do we create a really strong body that is mobile and has good patterns, right? So that you can be functional for the rest of the day. Not only the times that we are in the gym. The more mobile you are and the more you can take that joint into the full range of motion, the better and the easier your training is going to be. As now you can go into a larger degree of motion in taking that muscle to lengthen and then contract. If I have a squat that is this good, it's going to have better benefits than a squat that is just this good. Okay, so think about it that way. As a beginner, the movements that we are going to be performing on the wall may be a little too advanced. You can simply just grab a chair for the wall quad stretch, and this is the modification. Just grab a chair for support and stretch your quad in a standing position. This is going to mimic a lot of the things that we are doing, okay? So if you wanna have a little nice bend and do 2 to 3 rounds of 30-second holds, you can start here. One of the reasons why we're doing this stretch is because when the quads are tight, let's say you sit down a lot, these muscles are going to get shortened and muscles pull on bones, all right? So if there is tightness on the quads as well as weakness in the quad, you will feel anterior pelvic pain. Now, these hip flexors, anything that is tight on this body because you are stuck in all these different positions of sitting down, it's going to create pain and dysfunction. And as you know, if we have this pattern here, the low back is going to feel a lot of the compression or take on a lot of the load that it shouldn't. So by us stretching the front of our bodies, getting the hips to be stretched, the quads to be stretched, then we should feel a release on the lower back. Again, mobility is extremely important. Let's stop talking, let's start moving. You want some? All right, team, so we're gonna start with this mobility training. Now, I will say that the first stretch that I'm going to show you is quite advanced and quite deep. So I will show regressions on a very beginning standpoint for those who need it, and it's going to be shown at the end of this video. So if you want to be warmed up a little bit, go ahead and warm up. But what I would say is two things. I don't require a lot of knee padding, okay? Which is why I'm using a towel here that I'm just rolling, and this is how I am making sure that I protect my knee, right? As you can see, I also put a fluffier pillow or a more padded pillow, and you can just grab a pillow that you have at home, fold it up, and just get comfortable, right? So because it's a very deep stretch, we are going to start farther away from the wall. I can start really close to the wall, but I am going to start warming up a little bit. So for those who are following 3 sets at home, I want you to just start conservative and see where you are. Now, the best way to get into this position as a beginner is getting in all fours and then bringing that opposite leg forward and tucking the hips under, and we're gonna set our timers for 30 seconds. Now, what you're going to feel here is that you're also stretching your toes, okay? So the mobility is not only happening on the hip flexors and the quads. As you tuck under, you're gonna feel a nice pull, but you're also going to feel your feet. Keep breathing here. You're more than welcome to use yoga blocks, right? It all depends on where you are. The more you do these stretches, the more mobility and flexibility you are going to gain. Okay, we're going to switch. Take your time here, get your balance, curl the hips under, and stretch it out. Take a nice deep breath. I think I started a little too far from the wall as I am not feeling the things that I should. So you would understand that as much mobility you're gaining, the closer you're going to get from the wall. But this feels good actually on my toes. Keep breathing. Okay. Second movement, and we're going to get back to this first movement, is let's create mobility on the spine, okay? So what I would like you to do is get this half kneeling position, and the closer to the wall, the more of a stretch you're going to feel, okay? With the inside arm, we are going to draw circles, okay? So tuck the hips under and draw your circles. What you're going to feel here is a nice stretch on your pecs. And there's a slight mobility that happens, or a slight rotation that happens on the upper back. 30 seconds here. Keep drawing those circles. This should feel really good. And let's switch. Protect your knees. Tuck the hips under and get to rotating. Keep breathing. If you want to take it slower, you can do that too. Beautiful. Third, this, I will give you a modification at the end of the video, but what I would like you to do is get your booties really close to the wall, throw the legs up in the air, and now bring them into this frog pose or triangle pose. With our hands, take a nice deep inhale, and we're going to push our knees towards the wall, excuse me. Here you have complete autonomy to press as much as you can. And remember, start to build, start small, and then further the stretch. We're only holding for 30 seconds, but if you wanna make this a minute, if you wanna make this an experience, you can do so, okay? Follow along with me here. Slowly come back to the original position, stand, and now let's face the wall. We're gonna face the wall because one of the things that we're going to do is try to release these lats. This is going to increase your range of motion, your overhead motion, right? The extension and the mobility you have on your upper body. And it feels really good. So walk out and extend your hands as much as you can. It's going to have you in this standing position. I want you to tuck the hips under, and as you bring your hips back, if you have to adjust, tuck the hips under, push away from the wall, and once you find those lats, you are going to come down onto the floor, meaning we are not going to extend the diaphragm, excuse me. We're not going to extend the diaphragm. What I want you to do is do the opposite and tuck under and let the movement come from your lats. 30 seconds here. Breathe. Okay, and now we're back to the first movement, the wall quad stretch. So this is where you can get a deeper stretch now that you should feel that you're more warmed up. I will say that I have advanced mobility more than most. This is how I program, and this is my training. This is how I program for True Training for the MA Warrior community. So if you want a complete system, come on board. Let me be your coach, okay? So we're gonna hold this for another 30 seconds. Remember, you don't need to go deeper. You are a master of your own body. So whatever we feel, we're not forcing the stretch here. We are going into the stretch, okay? We are going to alternate. If you also want to decrease the time, if 20 seconds is enough, then just make it 20 seconds. Then you can progress into 30, you can progress into 45 seconds, then up to a minute, and just have some fun. This stretch in particular, it's great post-workout, okay? Especially when you're done with a heavy leg day. Keep breathing here. We're almost there. Okay. Let's go into our T-spine mobility. Now, we don't often do a lot of mobility work for our backs, especially our upper to mid back. And those sections of the spine are meant to move. They're meant to rotate, to flex, to extend, while the low back should remain kind of stable, right? Not that it's not supposed to be intended to move, but when we are lacking mobility in all these parts of the spine, something will compensate, and usually that's the low back, okay? So keep reaching and keep that reach if you want to make this stretch slower, or even if you want to get to the 30 seconds, open up and go into the wall to get that pec to release more, you can. And you can hold a stretch here as well. Now, let's switch over. This feels really good. Just don't go through the motions here. See if you can lengthen that arm and go into scapular protraction. Keep the abs tight and rotate. You should feel really good. You can also do this standing if you want to. If it's too much on your knees, you can do this standing. Let's go into our third and one of my favorites. Let's get our booties really close to the wall. And you don't have to be as close to the wall as I am. And I'll show you how to do this in a modified way, just like a butterfly stretch. Slowly let go. Come towards your side, and let's finish this. Follow along with the last but not least, the lat stretch. Tuck the hips under, push away from the wall, and stretch those lats. Just come out of it, shake it up. And you should feel really good. Let me know in the comments how you feel, all right? Now, I told you guys that there will be modifications right at the end of the video. And this was only a little intro, not to make this video very long, but on the frog wall stretch, and I will use this towel to cover my crotch or my groin area. I want you to bring, let's get close to the wall, as close as you can, right? And then we're gonna pull our feet together as much as we can. And once we are in this position where our backs are nice and supported, all we're gonna do is use our hands to push those knees towards the floor. This feels really good. Now, if pulling your feet in puts a lot of strain on your knees, you can always start a little bit further, okay? It's all about easing into the mobility instead of just forcing it, okay? Start small and build. The other regression for the spine mobility is a standing version of it, okay? So we're gonna find the wall, and top leg is going to be staggered in this position. And all we're doing is with the same, or the arm that is away from the wall, is just find a little bit of support. And all you're doing is just drawing circles, okay? If it's too much on your knees. Oh, I feel so good. Last but not least, there's no other modifications. A lat stretch can be easily done also standing. I do not want to give you my back, so I'm going to be using this towel to make sure that nothing is showing. So the same way, we can just bring our hands together and tuck the hips under and fall into this nice stretch on the wall. So now you have a version that can be modified instead of being on your knees the entire time, okay? Now, mobility has to be part of what you do on a daily basis. I don't know how much you got in the beginning of the video if you just forwarded the video, but I want you to start thinking about the way that you train. Not everything has to be about progressive overload and tons of cardio and everything that you do is so hard. No, get to know your body, you know? I often say mobility work, the things that do not look sexy, they do not look dynamic, and they have you, whether it's actively stretching for a little bit or for long periods of time, it's not sexy. But these are the qualities that are going to prolong your life. These are the qualities that are going to make sure that you have longevity in your life. And you're able to be functional for the rest of the day. So let me know what you feel about this and if you like this type of videos, and I'll see you on the next one, team.